Let me take you back in time. I'll begin this story in the summer of 2011, when Nintendo officially unveiled their Wii U console during their E3 press conference. That year's show was a three-way split between the Zelda 25th anniversary celebrations, which included the soon-to-be-released Skyward Sword, upcoming games for the recently released Nintendo 3DS, and finally, of course, the unveiling of their next-gen home console, the Wii U. Infamously, the Wii U reveal wasn't met with the warmest of receptions. To those who haven't been following Nintendo-related news as closely as people like me have, there was confusion as to what the Wii U even was. Some people didn't even realize that this was their new console. Obviously, the name Wii U doesn't do much to differentiate it from games and accessories like Wii Fit, Wii Sports, and Wii Play. Then there was the persistent rumors at the time of a so-called Wii HD, a supposed iteration of the original Wii that would have HD support like every other home console at the time. These rumors led some to believe the Wii U to be just that, a new iteration of the original Wii. But odd names and false rumors aside, the main source of the confusion as to what the Wii U actually was is the complete lack of games. The very thing that would have made it clear that this is a new console with a new game library with games that look clearly better than Wii games. Imagine you're announcing your brand new home console, the product that will carry your company for the next 5 or 6 years. You show off all the things it can do through a series of silly little tech demos, which again confusingly use standard Wii remotes in conjunction with the new Wii U gamepad screen, but you don't show any actual video games for your video game console. And on top of that, you end the reveal trailer with this beautiful HD tech demo based on Twilight Princess, but just moments before that reveal, you had a full orchestra on stage, Jeff over here taking notes, to advertise your upcoming Zelda game Skyward Sword for the original Wii. So why the bloody goodness would the only Nintendo game you show for the Wii U be another shinier, fancier HD Zelda game that doesn't even actually exist? Oh wait, hey look, they actually did announce a new Nintendo game for the Wii U, Lego City Undercover. Yeah. Okay. They also promised a bunch of years-old third-party ports, which I'm sure might have been exciting to somebody out there. At the time, I had a lot of good faith in Nintendo. To that point, they had never let me down. For me, there was no confusion as to what the Wii U was. Months prior to E3, they announced that they would be unveiling their next home console during the upcoming event, and that's exactly what they did. When I saw the Wii U reveal, I was excited. Was I disappointed in the lack of games shown? Of course. I went in expecting to see a new Mario game or actually see a new Smash Bros. Game instead of them merely stating that one is currently being planned. But the recently released 3DS was still giving me plenty of reasons to be excited, and Skyward Sword was just on the horizon, so it's not exactly like I was starving for games, or even a new console for that matter. I mean, I didn't even own an HD TV at the time. Anyways, we wouldn't see very much of the Wii U until E3 2012. Yeah, a full year later. We only got maybe 3 high-profile releases for the Wii in all that time, one of which was Xenoblade, a years-old game which was only finally getting localized. So what was Nintendo working on all this time? Well, obviously they are focusing all their attention on their upcoming slate of Wii U releases, and at E3 2012, all would be revealed. The day before the press conference, during a pre-E3 Nintendo Direct, they announced the first Mario game for the Wii U, which was New Super Mario Bros. U. Yeah, this game was technically announced at the prior year's E3, but back then it looked exactly like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and in fact, they actually called it New Super Mario Bros. Me. Anyways, maybe this re-unveiling would have been more exciting, if not for the fact that there was already an entire other New Super Mario Bros. Game releasing for the 3DS that same year. But hey, at least they got that out of the way instead of making it one of their big E3 reveals, right? Right? Okay, let's stop beating around the bush. E3 2012 sucked. I still remember sitting in the stairwell at my college, trying to catch the first few minutes of the press conference on my laptop before class began. In those first few minutes, they'd announced Pikmin 3, and I was properly wowed. It was surreal enough to see New Super Mario Bros. U in HD, but never had a Nintendo game looked as good as Pikmin 3. I mean, just look at the jump in graphical fidelity between Pikmin 2 and 3. I felt just like a purple Pikmin. Man, I couldn't wait to see what else Nintendo had in store during this press conference, but alas, I had to shut my laptop and watch the rest later on after the fact. Well, turns out I didn't miss much. Like I said, E3 2012 sucked. After the Pikmin 3 reveal, we got our first look at, a year-old Batman game, which was only the first of many, many late ports of third-party PS3 and 360 games to be shown at this event. After they finished showing off Pikmin 3, we had to trudge through an entire half an hour of corporate speak and sloppy seconds before they would finally show us another first-party Nintendo game for their brand spanking new HD console. And it was just Wii Fit. Yeah, you're really selling us on this new console. Come on, Nintendo, show us how Wii Fit U benefits from the boosted power of the Wii U. Let's see how this game takes advantage of the new gamepad. Oh yeah, this looks real comfortable. I love how even the trailer frames this as some sort of punishment. Like, the couple are competing to see who can burn the most calories. The guy loses, and now he's gotta do this nonsense. Have fun exercising while staring down at the gamepad screen, loser. I get the TV. I gotta watch my waterfalls! Where are Smash Brothers? I was promised Smash Brothers. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I am stuffed. I could only handle so many quality first-party Wii U games. So why don't we have dessert? Let's see what's cooking over on the Nintendo 3DS. Oh no, 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 no! Katy Perry. Just Dance. Maybe I am glad that E3 is dead. Great, let's see what Ubisoft is working on. Uh-oh. Zombi U, you say? An actual interesting and innovative game that's been built from the ground up for the Wii U and takes advantage of the gamepad's features in an assortment of fun and creative ways? Ubisoft does what Nintendo don't?
I'm hungry now.
Use cameo regime.
Oh, and if you dare to look away from your screen for 5 seconds, you might have missed Rayman Legends, also from Ubisoft, and also a game built with the Wii U's unique features in mind. And with that, we have one final announcement. This is it. The moment of truth. Nintendo's big reveal. The reason we're even here watching this press conference. The very thing we've waited an entire year since 2011 to finally see. It's Nintendo Land. Okay. We now have the power of retrospect to definitively say that Nintendo Land was a good game. It was a wonderful little showcase of all the new and exciting ways you could interact with video games using the Wii U gamepad, all dressed up in a Nintendo-y package, flavored with ample amounts of fan service. But it's still just a collection of glorified tech demos. This is really the grand reveal of their E3 showcase? This is what they've been working on this whole time? This is the reason they've given us to be excited about their next home console? Is that why they showed it for 11 minutes? So that's it? Pikmin 3, Nintendo Land, another new Super Mario Bros. Game, and another Wii Fit game, and the vague promise of a nebulous Smash Bros. Game? Meanwhile, on the E3 show floor, Nintendo announced Game & Wario, which was yet another compilation of tech demos, in case you didn't get your fill with Nintendo Land. On the other hand, this is where Platinum Games would announce something called Project P100, which would eventually become known as the cult classic The Wonderful 101. And that was it. Nidendo's final live E3 press conference ever, and it ended with complete apathy. Let's talk about Nintendo Directs. Today, Nintendo Directs are treated as these big, hype-worthy events. When one is announced, the entire Nintendo fandom's collective adrenaline starts to rush as we all start racking our minds, trying to predict what new games will be announced. It's basically like a miniature E3 every time. But back in 2012, when they just started, they were nothing like what we get now. They were just like these little quaint videos that Nintendo put out every now and then. After E3 2012, there was a 3DS-focused Direct, which just gave us additional info on games we already knew about. And then a Wii U Direct, but that was just an overview of the console's online functionalities. There weren't any game announcements or anything like that. Shortly after that, we got another 2 Nintendo Directs, both of which basically amounted to a couple of 6-minute-long videos about new Super Mario Bros. 2. These days, Nintendo releases info dump trailers longer than that. But in addition to all those little baby Directs, we also got a 30-minute behemoth focused entirely on 3DS games. So this is all to say a Nintendo Direct could be anything, and we didn't really know what to expect anytime one was released. A couple of months before the Wii U's launch, out of nowhere, we'd received news that Bayonetta, which had never been on a Nintendo console, would be getting a sequel, Bayonetta 2, and it would be published by Nintendo exclusively for the Wii U. For most people, this was probably the biggest news ever in regards to the Wii U, not just because it was a huge third-party exclusive, but also because it was a huge controversy. I still remember the gaming corner of the internet being sent into a fiery, seething rage by those who couldn't stand the fact that a hardcore game like Bayonetta 2 would be exclusive to a casual Nintendo console. People are weird, man. Leave a comment if you too are a veteran of the last great console war. In November 2012, the Wii U would launch, alongside games like Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Bros. U. At this point, the few people like myself who actually bought the console have very little of substance to look forward to. Let's be honest, nobody watching this video bought a Wii U for Wii Fit U, and while stuff like Game & Wario and the Wonderful 101 are nice to have, they're not exactly the exciting new experiences we bought this machine for. So what even else was there? Pikmin 3, Bayonetta 2, and that's it. Not counting the mystery Smash game we've heard next to nothing about in a year and a half and counting. And we knew we weren't getting a new 3D Zelda game anytime in the next few years, since Skyward Sword had only just released for the original Wii a year prior. Things weren't looking great. A month into the Wii U's life, and we got the final Nintendo Direct of the year. Yet another chance to announce some big-hitting first-party games. Yet another chance squandered. Just more info on stuff we already know about, and a detailed look at Wii Street U. Riveting. Actually, I spent more time than you can even imagine on Wii Street U. This is what a lack of games does to a boy. January 2013 arrives. It's been a year and a half since the Wii U's unveiling and 2 months since its launch, and we still know barely anything about what Nintendo has in store for their new console. But no need to fret, for the next Nintendo Direct is incoming, and it would be another Wii U-centric one. So, what would be featured this time? A tutorial on how to use the eShop? An overview of the internet browser? A deep dive into the intricacies of some third-party port that everyone's already played years ago? Little did I know on that cold winter morning, I was about to bear witness to something both exciting and weird. The first 24 minutes of the Direct were more of the same, the 10 millionth deeper look into system features such as Miiverse and whatnot. But they also announced the Wii U Virtual Console.
Update day for the Wii Shopping channel!
They even confirmed that Game Boy Advance games would be coming to the service, which was such great news, but it was also the first sign that the GBA is now considered retro and we're all aging rapidly. When was this again? 2013? Oh god. Well, that's all well and good, but it wasn't until the last 10 minutes of the Direct that things really started to pick up. First of all, they just casually dropped news that the next 3D Mario game and the next Mario Kart are in development and will be revealed at E3 2013. I mean, obviously, we're getting a new 3D Mario game and a new Mario Kart. That's just a given. But now we know for sure that they're coming fairly soon, and we know when we'll finally see them. Thing is, why not just wait a few months until E3 to announce them instead of doing it here so unceremoniously? Then we got an announcement for something called Yarn Yoshi, which looked to be a kind of follow-up to Kirby's Epic Yarn. Only this game would be the next big thing from Yoshi's Island director, Mario and Zelda co-creator, and all-around legend, Takashi Tezuka. With some real prestige behind the game, as well as it being the first home console Yoshi game since 1998, this looked to be a pretty big deal, a return to form for the Yoshi series. Well, it turned out to be nothing too special in the end, but at least this was the start of a string of regular Yoshi game releases, so that's something. Look at these beta screenshots though. Between announcing new Mario games with no accompanying footage or details, and then showing off a Yoshi game that's so obviously in a very early stage of development, something is clearly amiss here. No time to think though, because we're about to get one of the craziest, most unpredictable, most out there game announcements I have ever seen. The trailer starts with the Atlas logo, followed by a quick montage of Shin Megami Tensei characters, including those from the upcoming SMT4 for 3DS. But before my mind could even process what I was seeing, the Fire Emblem theme starts blaring in my ears like a freaking jump scare. If I was drinking water right then, I would have spat it out at the screen the moment I saw those Fire Emblem characters show up. What does Fire Emblem have to do with Shin Megami Tensei? What was I even looking at? And then, just like with the SMT portion, the Fire Emblem section also ends with artwork from the upcoming 3DS installment. And then, the title hits, Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem. What even? So not only are we about to get the first brand new mainline Shin Megami Tensei title in a whole decade, and not only are we about to get an exciting new Fire Emblem game that promises to be a series renaissance after the back-to-back disappointments of the DS games, but now we're getting a brand new HD crossover between these two drastically different franchises? My brain went into overdrive as I tried to hypothesize what such a crossover could even entail. Well, it'll be a few years before we see anything about the game we now know as Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, and we'd learn its true nature as a game about Japanese pop idols that fight alongside people dressed vaguely like Fire Emblem characters. Say what you will about what SMTX FE ended up becoming, but back then, the possibilities were limited only by your imagination. Because, once again, there was no actual footage or detail shown. What is going on here? Well, anyways. Oh! AJ Aonuma jump scare! What are you doing here? Wait, he's about to talk about the next console Zelda game? But Skyward Sword only released just over a year ago. Oh, so big shock. It's yet another game announcement with nothing of substance to show. But still, just hearing talk of its existence straight from the man himself was exciting, if for no other reason than that I was a starving Wii U owner. Anyways, Aonuma starts talking all kinds of stuff about rethinking the conventions of Zelda, using the idea of going through dungeons in any order as an example, as well as hinting at multiplayer aspects. In retrospect, the dungeon thing was obviously referring to A Link Between Worlds, which would release that same year, and the part about not playing by yourself would come to fruition in Triforce Heroes. So was he even talking about Breath of the Wild, or... But wait, what's this? It's Wind Waker! It's Wind Waker! I can't even stress how exciting this reveal was to me. Yes, it is once again another game so early in development that the most it could share were a handful of beta screens, which seems to be the theme of this Direct. And yes, it was just an old GameCube game getting a bit of a makeover, but back then, we didn't have fancy remasters of every single 3D Zelda game like we do now. And back then, the most we've ever seen of a modern, high-definition Zelda game was just that tech demo from the Wii U's reveal. To see my favorite Zelda game, nay, my favorite video game, get this treatment, it was magical. Still, looking back, I'm glad the final product ended up looking better than this. People are always complaining about the amount of bloom lighting in Wind Waker HD, but it's not nearly as bad as it is in these screenshots. And while it was cool to see Link and Tetra looking so clearly different from their GameCube counterparts, I'm glad they ultimately reincorporated the game's iconic cel shading. After the Zelda portion of the Direct, we were shown one more thing that nobody could have predicted, a brand new Xenoblade game. You've got to remember, it hasn't even been a full year at this point since the first Xenoblade Chronicles released in the US. And that was after years of fan petitioning. The fact that the game even got an English release felt like a small miracle at the time, and now all of a sudden you're telling me we're getting another Xenoblade game, and it's already planned for an English release? Remember, Xenoblade was just one game. It wasn't the giant, lucrative franchise it is now. To say this announcement was unexpected is an understatement. And just look at them graphics! This is a Nintendo game? And that was the end of the Direct. It was a weird one for sure. It was a motherload of big announcements. 3D Mario, Mario Kart, Yarn Yoshi, new Zelda, Wind Waker remake, a Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem crossover, and a Xenoblade sequel. And they squeezed all this into the last 10 minutes of the Nintendo Direct, which isn't hard to believe considering they showed us next to nothing about any of these games. And literally nothing for a few of them. These are the kind of game announcements I expected to see at E3 2011 when they revealed the console. These are the kinds of game announcements I expected to see at E3 2012, which was supposed to be Nintendo's big, this is why you should pre-order a Wii U event. And at the very least, these are the kind of game announcements I expected to see at any point before the console's launch. Why do they wait over a year and a half between the Wii U's reveal and them giving us a solid list of big first-party titles that'll make people actually care about the thing? Well, as is evident by this Nintendo Direct, they quite literally had nothing to show. The fact that Nintendo would livestream a video of them announcing a bunch of games with nothing but scant details, beta screens, work-in-progress footage, and tentative titles across the board just shows how desperate they were to get people's attention. I guess the question isn't why did Nintendo wait so long to announce some games, but rather, why did it take Nintendo so long to make said games? Like, what were they even doing for the last couple of years? The 3DS was going strong, so was it just that they had trouble adapting to HD game development? But I mean, this is Nintendo. They're masters of the craft. How could they have so much trouble maintaining a consistent release schedule? Yeah, I guess we'll never know the full story. But regardless of any of that, the Wii U, at least in my eyes, now had the games. That January 2013 Nintendo Direct, for the first time, made me truly excited to be a Wii U owner. No longer was I subsisting on hope alone, on the belief that there would be all the Marios and Zeldas and general Nintendo goodness I can handle, like every other system prior. Now there's real stuff to be excited about. Real, tangible stuff! Well, mostly tangible. The promised day of E3 2013 did soon arrive, and with it came many an unveiling. Super Mario 3D World initially seemed like a dirty trick. That's the 3D Mario game we are promised? This is just a sequel to 3D World! Get it? 3D World? This was not the successor to Mario Galaxy quite literally everyone was hoping for. But perhaps we treated it too harshly, because it ended up being, in my opinion, one of the best games Nintendo has ever made. Then came Mario Kart 8, and gosh dang, those were some of the most insane graphics I had ever seen at the time. Even now, I still think the game looks great, but back then, it was such a humongous leap forward from Mario Kart Wii. And we can't forget Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, aka should've been Metroid. Man, even when Nintendo was releasing literal masterpieces like 3D World, Tropical Freeze, and even Bayonetta 2, they came top of such a thick layer of controversy. They really were fighting an uphill battle in the Wii U days. The final surprise of the show was the long-awaited unveiling of the Super Smash Bros. Game they announced 2 whole years ago. And my goodness, look how good it looks! I was so glad to see them continue the trend of changing up the art style with each installment. And from then on, the Wii U couldn't be stopped. It was hit after hit. 3D World, Wind Waker, Mario Kart 8, Rayman Legends, Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2, Donkey Kong, Hyrule Warriors, Smash 4, Xenoblade, Splatoon, Pokken Tournament, Super Mario Maker, NES Remix, Twilight Princess HD, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and so much more. After a painfully slow start, Nintendo finally got all its cylinders ignited and turned things around, rocketing the Wii U into the hearts of gamers everywhere, solidifying its place as one of the company's most beloved and lucrative ventures. No, that's not what happened. Most of the games shown at E3 2013 wouldn't even be released until 2014. Smash 4 took almost a year and a half from its reveal trailer to release. Donkey Kong got delayed from 2013 to 2014. Bayonetta took over 2 years between its announcement and release. Even Mario Kart 8 took almost a year to release. Xenoblade Chronicles and Yarn Yoshi, aka Yoshi's Woolly World, took 3 years from announcement to release. Zelda U, aka Breath of the Wild, took over 4 years and lost its Wii U exclusivity for good measure. Never mind that by 2013, the ship was already so far off course that writing it would have taken a miracle. The games shown were so far from release that it wouldn't be until 2 whole years into the Wii U's lifespan that we'd finally start seeing consistent first-party releases. And by then, it was just too late. Not only did the Wii U spend the shortest time as Nintendo's primary home console, with just over 4 years between its release and that of the Nintendo Switch, but it's also their lowest selling. It's kind of amusing to look back at E3 2013, where they talk about how not many people had a chance to play Wind Waker because of the GameCube's low install base. But now, more people finally have a chance to play Wind Waker because it's on the Wii U! But then the Wii U sold even worse than the GameCube. Well, that's the sad tale of the Wii U, I guess. Initially, I only wanted to talk about the January 2013 Direct, where they announced all those really cool games that would have been way too early in development to talk about had Nintendo not been so desperate to reassure people that new games were coming. It's just one of those weird things I think back on sometimes. These days, Nintendo's in a position to hold off on announcing games until they're just about ready for an imminent release. We'll likely never get something like that January 2013 Direct ever again. As for the Wii U, like any failure in its own time, it'll eventually become the subject of nostalgia for a generation of fans. In time, it'll be looked upon in the same light as the GameCube, once considered a flop, now merely misunderstood, undeserving of its negative reputation. Personally, I look forward to the inevitable day when public opinion turns around and more people come forth with positive memories of that era of Nintendo and of those few short years when the Wii U reigned supreme in their hearts. So, if anyone is still here, thank you for making it this far. If you have anything you'd like to share regarding the Wii U era of Nintendo, I'd very much love to hear it in the comments. In the meantime, I'll be over here throwing copies of Color Splash into a volcano where they can no longer hurt anyone. See you in the next video, and by golly, there will be a next video. I've sunk too many gosh-forsaken hours into these last couple of videos for me to stop the momentum now, and my time is a piece of wax falling on a termite that's choking on the splinters. Why do these videos end up taking so long?
I feel just like a purple Pikmin.